Once upon a time. There's these two little country people.
Okay, this is the story of how I met your dad.
This is the story of how I met my wife, Miss Constance Lynn Barrett.
I had two best friends, Beth and Frances. We all went to church. That was kind of a ritual. We went Sunday morning, Sunday night, and every Wednesday for a youth meeting.
I was about 16 years old. I had just driven my father's old, I think it's about a 1949 to 50 Chevy truck over to Crewe, Virginia from the countryside where we lived in Nottoway County, Virginia.
Well, we decided that we would go to I guess you would call it a singing for the church. Our pastor said, do you guys want to go with us? And we were like, sure, we'll go. So it was Beth, Frances, myself, and some other people from the church.
I pull up my Uncle Frank's house. He's a pastor at a church. And they were loading up in the family station wagon. I think it's a 1968 Chevy, big old station wagon you don't see anymore nowadays. And they say, you want to go with us to a singing?
So we drive up to what I think is going to be a church, but it was not. It was a house. And I was like, what is this? And Frances was like, are we at the right place? And I was like, I don't know, we'll find out.
We pull up to a house, parking underneath a tree where everybody else is parked. There's no real parking lot there. I mean, you basically park in the yard. Well, we go inside. I'm with my cousin Dwayne Baldwin, who's about 6 months younger than I am at the time, and a second cousin, Jackie, I think his name was. I really don't recall.
So we went in, and we were at the right place, and it was like a church singing that they had. And they had lots of people that sang songs. So Beth could sing and I could sing, but we didn't want to participate. We just wanted to watch.
And there would happen to be 3 seats right in the middle. Well, myself and my 2 cousins, we sat down there. Well, a few minutes later, 3 lovely young ladies come walking in.
So we decided that we would stand over in the back and watch everyone. Well, as we were doing that, my friend Beth said, do you see those 3 guys over there? And I was like, what are you talking about, Beth? And she goes, those 3 guys right over there. And Frances was like, oh my God, we should meet them. And I was like, guys, just calm down.
So we, 3 of us got up and went out, to let the young girls, or ladies, shall we say, have our seats. We go out back to the screen-in porch. We
were just standing at the back of the room, and the guy said, do you girls want to sit down? And we were like, sure. But we still didn't meet them or anything. And but Frances really wanted to meet them. And I was like, guys, really? You got to play hard to get.
My cousin Wayne, Wayne that is, he is the type that does this number thing, and he's standing in the doorway trying to catch the eye of the young ladies. Me, I think he's acting so foolish that I'm doubled over at the waist, trying to keep him bust out laughing.
So we sat there, and I said, you have to play hard to get. You just can't go over there and introduce yourself.
After the singing, we go outside, and we 3, or my cousin, that is, we're on one side of all the parked cars, just talking, and I'm all tickled because, my cousin got me all just acting crazy because I thought he was so foolish. And then, across the other side of all the parked cars are the 3 young ladies standing there talking.
And they were like, Frances was like, no, we should go over. So I said, no, we're just going to stand right here. Well, apparently, the 3 guys thought the same thing that we did because they really didn't approach us. The youth pastor came over and said to Gary, my husband, and, well, I didn't know him at the time, but anyway, said, would you like to meet the girls over there?
I said, sure, not really thinking anything's going to happen. And he turns to the girl, hey girls, these guys want to meet you. And lo and behold, who speaks up? But Constance says, oh, all right, but we're going to go inside and get something to eat first.
So we introduced ourselves to each other. We went, and I think they had hot dogs and hamburgers that day. So we went and we had lunch with them. And at that point, we exchanged addresses.
Constance and myself started talking right away. Matter of fact, we were the only ones pretty much did all the talking. Nobody else got another word an inchwise, and Constance never did get to eat her hot dog.
And Beth was so excited, and Frances was extremely excited because Frances just really liked one of the guys. So we exchanged addresses, listened to the rest of the singing, and we all went our separate ways.
It must have been a week or two later, I found out my cousin Dwayne, had already written and asked Constance out. So I figured I better hear him right, so I write a letter to Constance.
Gary made sure that his was in the mail first before Dwayne's. Dwayne's parents were pretty strict too, though.
Then I get a letter back from Constance that basically went, I'm glad you wrote and asked me out because I really didn't want to go at your cousin Dwayne.
So anyway, I don't remember everything after that, but I do remember that we ended up inviting the 3 boys down to my house.
And I could not find anybody else to go with me. Actually, I was surprised my mother let me go because it was actually a 50-mile drive on old back roads.
Well, their parents were very, very strict. Well, my mom wasn't that strict. So we invited Beth and Frances over for like a cookout with the boys.
And when I pull up into where she lives in the yard, there's these 3 lovely young ladies at a picnic table with a pile of hamburgers. I don't know how many hamburgers it was, but it looks like a little pyramid sitting there. And I'm going, uh-oh. And I'm the only one that showed up.
I ended up dating Gary. Beth ended up I think she dated Dwayne maybe once or twice. And anyway, so that's how Gary and I kind of got together. He would come down during the week, and he was in school still. So, and his parents were, I mean, they weren't wealthy, but in order for him to get back, I would give him $1 to put in his gas tank to get back. And sometimes he would bring his crazy brother, George, with him, just so he'd have someone to ride with him. And that was a good excuse because his mom would let him come if he brought George.
So that started me going down, seeing Constance and dating her. And her friend Beth, which was her best friend, a lot of times we ended up going with us on our date.
Oh yeah, well Beth went with us, oh yeah, kids, and Beth was adopted, so Beth decided that she wanted to meet her adopted brother. So we found out that he lived in Richmond, Virginia. We'd never skipped school before a day in our lives, and we decided that it might be a great idea to skip school.
You know, could have got in trouble once with them. It was, I guess, I must be 18.
So Beth said, and Beth was very adventurous, Beth said, this is what we're going to do. Tell Gary to meet us, and we're going to get in his car, and we're going to Richmond, and no one will know. Well, of course, we were not pros at this, so Gary drives up to the front of the school, in front of the principal's office, and Beth and I get in the car.
But Constance was 17. I didn't think about it at the time, but I think about it today, go, uh-oh, I could have got lots of trouble.
So they call my mom, and they call Beth's mom. And Beth's mom, oh, she was so upset. And we came back and pretended that we had gone to school, and
Vice versa one actually saw them leave, and I already contacted their parents, so they were in trouble when they got home. Me, I just drove home and didn't show my face. Yeah, nothing happened to me, thank goodness.
so, but to be very honest with you, I was like, Beth was 18, and I was not quite 18 yet. So Gary could have got a lot of trouble, but he didn't, because, you know, my mom was like, whatever, because I'd already been dating him.
Well, time moves on. We graduated.
We moved to Richmond, or I moved to Richmond and lived with Gary's aunt.
Well, we both end up living at my Aunt Mamie's house.
Oh, Gary proposed quite a few times. Because, see, here's the deal. I work for a guy named Eric Gabriel. And Eric said, you're too young to get married. And I was like, but I really love him. Nope, you're too young to get married. You need to date more guys.
I tried to get Miss Constance to marry me at that point, but she had cold feet.
I knew that he would ask again. You know, I just knew that. You know, you just kind of know things like that.
I probably asked at least a dozen times, but she was always afraid to get married.
He did ask again, and I said yes. And so he went to basic training, came back.
And, of course, in Virginia, you got to go through a blood test. I They took some blood just out of just a little test tube, and I blacked out. I got married. The next day we went to get married. I was wearing my dress blues from the military, you know, just fresh out of basic, with all my hair cut short.
The wedding dress that I wore that day was Gary's cousin's wedding dress. It was very beautiful. It was white, very, very pretty.
Small wedding at the church that I went to in Burford.
We were married in, let me think, 74. So, what is that? 40 years, yeah. Yeah, that's a long time.
She's a highly intelligent woman. She has the gift of gab.
Mm-hmm. And he's very good to me. I mean, he treats me very well.
Oh, you're both Leos. Of course, no one can believe, can two Leos get married? So, yeah. So we had a few cat fights. The love of my life. Couldn't do anything. Cry, plead, beg. Oh, please marry me. And I do not regret getting married at the age of 19.
Okay. No, I never regret getting married. Yes. No.
No, you guys just